As we all know, Carl Froch has never been a man to mince his words, and he has once again reiterated his belief that if Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder were to fight right now, as in to fight next, Anthony Joshua would get knocked out in one round in particularly devastating fashion. To quote him directly, he said, "Deontay Wilder knocks him spark out in one round. I've always said that, and I still think it is true. Wilder would come out in the first round looking for AJ, who is tentative at the best of times, but he is now afraid of his own shadow these days. I think Wilder catches him with a shot that lands on his chin and he goes down and just doesn't get up. Whether he can get up or not, he won't want to. That's the reason those two aren't fighting now, because if that happens, his career is over and the curtain comes down for good. However, if he gets his head right, he can definitely win that fight. He's with Ben Davison now as his trainer. Rob McCracken should be his trainer because he would get his head right for that fight. But the respect is gone now, so they will never get back together again. The old AJ that brawled with Dylan White, knocked out Vladimir Klitschko after getting knocked down, and busted up Carlos Takam after getting his nose butted, can definitely win that fight and do a job there, because Deontay Wilder and AJ has got the Olympic pedigree, so he can go and outbox him. All right, those are the words of Carl Froch. Now, I have to take issue with what he said about Rob McCracken, because I've been one of these people for years. I might have been the first of these type of YouTube channels, or maybe the first YouTube channel out there, I'm not sure, who was saying that AJ needed to ditch Robert McCracken years ago. This was back when AJ was still undefeated, because I saw technical issues that were not being addressed. And if technical issues are not being addressed, fight after fight after fight after fight, then there's something not right there with the fighter-trainer relationship. Either the trainer can't communicate the right way to the fighter, or the fighter isn't receptive to something the trainer's doing. Some reason or another, they just couldn't plug certain holes in Anthony Joshua's game, which to me were glaringly obvious. And I was pointing this out for a long time before he lost to Andy Ruiz in that first fight. And I was saying he needs to leave Rob McCracken. And this has been a bugbear of mine for years with many fighters. I've always said that fighters need to leave trainers and get with the right guy before they end up losing under him. But what tends to happen is they won't leave that guy until they lose. And in the case of Anthony Joshua, he had to lose a couple times before he eventually left Rob McCracken. So yeah, with the Rob McCracken thing, I get that Carl Froch is loyal to him and all this kind of stuff, says that Rob McCracken would have got AJ's head right. Well, he didn't get his head right for the Alexander Usyk fight, did he? Head wasn't right for that fight. And even in the Andy Ruiz rematch, AJ was scared to death. So I don't think he would have got his head right for Deontay Wilder fight if he'd stayed with Rob McCracken. And I'm talking about the post-Ruiz version of AJ. Prior to the Ruiz fight, there were technical issues, but AJ's confidence was a lot higher than it is now, all right? And with regards to Deontay Wilder knocking AJ out in one round, I can definitely see why Carl Froch says that. If you look at the way Anthony Joshua fights, well, his last couple fights, the confidence hasn't been there. And as gifted as Anthony Joshua is, and he does have talent, there are some people out there who say Anthony Joshua's no good, he doesn't do anything good, he's just rubbish all round, big stiff robot. Come on, you're exaggerating just a little bit. Yeah, there are certain things about AJ that aren't great, but he is talented. There are things he does in the ring that a lot of other heavyweights can't do. His lead left hook is very good. His combination punching, when he lets his hands go, particularly up close, is very impressive. His balance is good, so on and so forth. So, yeah, with regards to the Deontay Wilder fight, AJ has the tools, as Carl Froch alluded to there, to beat Deontay Wilder. I think it's just whether he has the confidence. Now, some people will disagree with that, and they'll talk about styles make fights, and they'll say it doesn't matter how confident AJ is, Deontay Wilder's style is all wrong for him. In order to beat Wilder, you need to be a bit more of an intuitive fighter. You need to be a bit more fluid, like Tyson Fury, for example. If you're a guy who is boxing by the numbers like Anthony Joshua, where you're a very, not only mechanical in his body movements, but mechanical in the way his mind works. If that's the kind of fighter you are, Deontay Wilder is going to be too dynamic for you. He's going to be too unpredictable, too sudden, too random for you. You're not going to be able to read what he's doing because he isn't mechanical like you are. you know? So that is one viewpoint. And hey, you guys might be right. Okay. But yeah, with Carl Froch and his comments, I've got no issue with him saying that he thinks Anthony Joshua will get knocked out in a round by Deontay Wilder. I could see it. I could see it if they were to fight right now. And as for the reason the fight isn't happening next, he believes it's because AJ's confidence isn't there, and Eddie Hearn's confidence in AJ isn't there, or at least not there enough for them to do that fight next, because obviously he's fighting Wallin. That might be true as well. Yeah, I've said this in previous videos. Anthony Joshua's response in the ring after he beat Robert Helenius didn't exactly seem like that of a person who was overly keen on fighting Deontay Wilder anytime soon, because they directly asked him, is it Wilder next? And he said, oh, I'm carrying the heavyweight division on my back, and tried to bust some whack little joke. I was like, nah, this guy isn't really looking at Wilder next. That's the impression I got. And the same with Eddie Hearn, because before the Helenius fight, oh, it's definitely Wilder next, this, that, and the other. Afterwards, totally changed their tune. Now, while it is true that skill challenge, Prince Khalid, kind of got pushed aside by the, his, I guess it would be his cousin, Turki Al-Sheikh. I think he's the cousin of Prince Khalid. Got brushed aside, and Turki Al-Sheikh is now heading up all the boxing in Saudi Arabia. That did happen, and I'm sure that was part of the reason that the Deontay Wilder-Anthony Joshua fight didn't happen, but they could have fought in Vegas. They could have fought in London. They could have arranged the fight themselves. They didn't have to go to Saudi Arabia with it, right? But I guess the thinking of Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua is, we're not going to take that fight unless we get that kind of money. Similar to with Tyson Fury and the Alexander Usyk fight. He's thinking, I'm not going to fight Usyk unless it's some crazy paycheck from the Saudis. Yeah, maybe AJ and Eddie Hearn are on the same thing with Wilder. They're not taking that fight unless it's some crazy paycheck. So that's my take on it. Give me your take in the comment section below.